crawling, walking, running, throwing, jumping, squatting, all these as a sequence would probably be called physical literacy. Physical literacy as a word was coined by the British scholar Margaret Whitehead. We in the last few years as a nation have focused on making this country alphabetically and numerically literate. But in the bargain, we've lost on a very important aspect, and that is physical literacy. If you look at India as a country, we've always looked at physical literacy as a very important component. We may not have used the word physical literacy, but our culture actually had physical activity as a key component, whether it's yoga, kalari, or our art forms of Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, Kathakali. All of these things were movement-based. Are things like temples being on hilltops and yatras needing us to move a lot, or our culture of sitting down and eating, or bending to elders, all of these things actually had physical movement incorporated into our lifestyles. How many kids in today's day and age have thrown a ball as far as it can go, or as high as it can be thrown? If the boundaries of your physical being are not being explored, how can you even think of your mind to be a visionary? I think the last few years has seen a steady rise, an alarming rise in the number of lifestyle diseases which have come. The decline of physical literacy has meant the increase in lifestyle diseases. Kids having diabetes very young, heart rates being very high among professionals very young. The number of people who have had back issues has been tremendous. The diabetes issues have been tremendous. Obesity has been tremendous. Kids, a majority of the kids ending up with flat foot, and many of them not able to do simple things like running backwards. I think these are major issues for a nation which is so young. Because from a health perspective, from a happiness perspective, from a mental health perspective, from a community perspective, I think addressing physical literacy solves many of these problems. In the last 2 years, we've had great public engagements. We've gone ahead and done things where people have come together to support physical literacy, to be part of the journey. We've gone ahead to try and influence governments to ensure that public policy incorporates physical literacy as a key component, and to have multiple ministries come together to own physical literacy. We've gone to education departments to tell them the importance of kids playing sport. It is beyond medals is what we are talking about, and that is what in the next few years we need to build on. As a nation, we are at a point where we need to intervene. We need to implement what the learnings have over the past few years. We have met scientists, we have met scholars, we have met people who have worked in the field to come together with a plan which ensures that as a nation we start to become more physically literate. It's time for us to move further. It's time for us to organize this into a setup which is more sustainable, more research which is important, more advocacy which is important, more policy which is important, because each state is different, each city is different, each community is different. So what works in Kerala may not work in Kashmir, what works in Gujarat may not work in Mizoram. I think it's very important for us, the breadth and length and breadth of the country has different cultures, and it's very important that we incorporate that which is existing into the policy to ensure that each one of us is moving and taking advantage of being physically literate. In the last few years, successive governments have spoken about the importance of sport. I think steadily over the years, investment in sport has gone up. People have started looking at sport differently from what they've looked at in the last few years. Government has looked at yoga very differently. Today, World Yoga Day has started off, and people across the country have started to do running as a major activity, yoga as a major activity. It's time to deepen this further. So I request governments to come be part of this journey, to share this vision and to build on this vision to ensure that there is a population which is happy, which is healthy, and which has access to the activities which can be done physically. It's time for governments to invest, it's time for corporates to invest, it's time for citizens to participate, and it's time for all of us to come together as a nation to build on physical literacy.
So could we start? Kishore sir, could we start?
Yeah. Shall we start, Mr. Vimal? Please.
Most respected guest speaker for the day, Pulela Gopichand sir. Pulela Gopichand, the former Indian badminton player, chief national coach for the Indian badminton team. He won the All England Open Badminton Championship in 2001, becoming the second Indian to achieve this feat after Prakash Padukone. He runs the Gopichand Badminton Academy. He received the Arjuna Award in 1999, Dronacharya Award in 2009, Padma Bhushan, India's third highest civilian award in 2014. Pulela Gopichand sir was born to Pulela Subhash Chandra and in Andhra Pradesh. Initially, he was interested in playing cricket, but his elder brother encouraged him to take up badminton instead. His family settled in Nizamabad for a while, and he did his schooling in Hyderabad. He joined AV College in Hyderabad and graduated in public administration. He was a captain of the Indian Combined Universities badminton team in 1990-91. Gopichand sir was coached by S.M. Arif before Prakash Padukone accepted him at the Prakash Padukone Academy. He also trained under Ganguly Prasad at Sai Bangalore. Gopichand won his first national badminton championship title in 1996, went on to win title 5 times in a row until 2000. He won 2 gold and 1 silver at the Indian National Games, 1998 held at Imphal. At the international level, he represented India in 3 Thomas Cup tournaments. In 1996, he won a gold in the SAG badminton tournament at Vijayawada and defended the crown in the next games held at Colombo in 1997. In 1998 Commonwealth Games, he won a silver in the team event and bronze in men's single. 1999, he won the Toulouse Open Championship in France and Scottish Open Championship in Scotland. He also emerged winner at the Asian Satellite Tournament held at Hyderabad. And he's got a very detailed coaching career. After retiring from his playing career, Gopichand sir founded the Gopichand Badminton Academy in 2008 after reportedly he had a lot of struggles before he could establish. And then there was a Renowned Industries donated sir $50 million, which actually could help sir to establish his academy. And that went to win a medal for India at the Olympics in badminton. The academy produced several badminton players, including Saina Nehwal, PV Sindhu, Sai Praneeth, Kashyap, Srikanth, Arundhati, Gurusai Dutt, Arun Vishnu. Saina Nehwal went on to win the bronze medal in 2012 Summer Olympics, PV Sindhu silver medal in 2016 Summer Olympics, and the first Indian to win the Badminton World Championship. Gopichand sir also served as various official Indian Olympic badminton team coach at the 2016 Brazil Rio Olympics. So he's got a lot of awards and honors. I think there's a list is immense. Arjun Award, Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna Award, Padma Shri, Dronacharya Award, Padma Bhushan, rewards for coaching the silver medal at the 2016 Rio Olympics, a reward from the Telangana government, from the Badminton Association, from Andhra Pradesh government, from the Badminton Association of India, Rashtriya Khel Protsahan Puraskar under the category Establishing Management of Sports Academies of Excellence. He also is bestowed upon an honorary doctorate by IIT Kanpur on the occasion of the 52nd convocation. Now, on behalf of the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, a warm welcome to Gopichand sir. I also would like to introduce Dr. Amit Malik on this occasion. Sir is an expert in the field of physical literacy and sports leadership. He's a vice president of ELMS Sports Foundation. Gopichand sir is an advisor to the ELMS Sports Foundation, which I got to mention. He also designs and implements strategic roadmap and solutions for Indian sports ecosystem leveraging physical literacy and high performance philosophies. He has continuous coaching programs for coaches, physical education teachers, and administrators. Physical literacy and high performance projects consulting execution, research and development to create world-class Indian context-like knowledge. He's been part of the core management team at the Pulela Gopichand Badminton Academy, Hyderabad. He has contributed to high performance and key strategy in various sports initiatives of the academy. Before venturing into sports, he was working as an associate director in business risk service at Grant Thornton. Amit holds a doctorate in management and management development institute, Gurgaon. I also would like to a warm welcome to our Dr. Amit Malik. I'd like to welcome Vimal Anand sir, who's the Director of Sports, Joint Director from Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. A warm welcome to Amit Malik sir, a keen enthusiast. It's because of you, sir, we could have this platform. And I also would like to welcome Dr. G. Kushra, Principal, to this program. So once again, on behalf of the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, Khelo India, Sai LNCP, and on behalf of everybody present here, warm welcome to our most eminent and distinguished speaker, Pulela Gopichand sir. Sir, for your session, please.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for the kind words, warm introduction. I think it's really nice. First of all, happy to be here. I'm just here to share some of my thoughts on this subject, and I'm sure many of you would know most of the things what I'm saying. But it's been a perspective which, for me, has changed over time, and I would just want to share these things with you. For me, having started playing sport in 1985, for me, sport for the longest period of time meant medals. Somewhere in this journey, in the year 2015, in a summer camp, a certain incident happened which really changed my very understanding of sport and why it was important. For me, for the longest period of time, as kids growing up in Hyderabad, where the number of badminton courts were very, very limited, we would always think, why do these senior players play? Why do these people who come for fitness even play sport? And since they are taking time away from us, why do kids who don't have a chance to become champions continue playing sport? This is something which actually bothered me for a long time. And growing up, there was always this thought that why is it that they're taking time away from us? And is it even important that these people play? And in 2015, when I was coaching very young kids, which I don't do very often, but in the summer, sometimes I coach basic beginners. And I was throwing shuttles to a group of kids who were supposed to catch the shuttle and throw it back to me. And one of the girls, a 13-year-old girl, dropped the shuttle 2 times, and I was a little annoyed at her. I said, "Kya kar rahe ho?" She said, "Sorry, sir." And then I kind of made a face and walked off, because for me, she just was not attentive or disciplined enough, and she was making fun in the class. I walked off, and she came with almost tears in her eyes to ask me, "Sir, teach me how to catch." And this very question changed a lot of things in my life. And that day, I just felt like somebody had pulled the earth away from under my legs. Because for me, I could never imagine that somebody could not do something as basic as catching. And I remembered in 2007 and 8, I had a close friend who's the chief coach of Canada, Ram Nair. Ram had sent me a book on physical literacy because I was reading extensively, because I wanted to learn about sport, science, coaching, all of this. And he sent me some literature regarding physical literacy. And I actually browsed through it thinking, how do we even need something like this? But then when this girl asked me this question, I just shook me and I said, are you serious? Are you saying, teach me how to catch? And if somebody comes to you with this question, teach me how to catch, what do you do? And I just went back running, dusted the book from almost the last of the books in the shelf, and then started to think, what happens if somebody doesn't catch? And for me, the next few months were one shock after other, because I could see systematically how we as coaches, we as parents, we as teachers, we as society are neglecting certain fundamentals. I could see how even in my class, I would start looking where the champions are. And once I found the talent or found the material, I would focus on them intensely, leaving behind a huge majority of them and excluding them out of sport. Then I started looking at the Olympic movement. There's a lot of pride in the way the Olympic movement is advertised itself, which says 1 in 100 Olympians becomes a medalist. 1 in 1,000 Olympians, 1 out of every 1,000 national champions becomes an Olympian. And 1 out of 1,000 state champions become a national champion. And if you actually look at that, the filter actually is great to prove that the greatest or the most gifted become great sports persons. But the reality is that in the bargain, we lose so many people moving out of sport. And that started to bother me. And that started to make me see things very differently from the way I have ever seen things. I could see in a class how people would get disillusioned. People who lost in a tournament would say, I don't want to play. And I started reflecting even in my entire career, where people have left sport for various reasons in childhood and never come back to sport. I think that started to hurt me. And I was looking for answers. And it brought me to a stage where I started to reflect at my own understanding and things which happened at my school. For me, the class was very important. And I reflected. When I was in a maths class when I was young, and teacher would send me out because I didn't come to class regularly and I missed and didn't know about many of the problems, she would say, you're not good enough. And I would stay out of the maths class. So today, years later, that experience of not being happy in a maths and a physics class makes me dread maths and physics today. In the same sense, I thought kids who don't enjoy physical activity, PE class, sports class, dread it because the experience which they're getting in childhood stops them from being active or playing sport ever in life. And this connected for me because then I saw that the PE teacher is looking at the top 5 in class. The same kids. I used to play cricket, I used to run, I used to play badminton, TT, volleyball, running, everything. Because all of us who were the top 5 in class, in all sport we would participate. The rest 45 just didn't know what they were doing in a sport class. Because the focus was on only the select few. When we came to the coaching classes also the select few, because the PE wants to win the tournament. The coach wants to win the tournament. And the entire focus is on winning. Thereby, everybody started to lose off. I think this is something which started to push back and ask me many, many questions. And this is where I come from in what I talk about. Think of it. People say, and I started to question many of these things. Think of it. People would say that you need. Am I being audible clearly? I see some messages saying that I'm not audible.
It's audible, sir.
Okay. I would go in and ask questions about sport. Sport, they say, builds confidence. Yes, it builds confidence when things happen in a right way. If the guy who is winning, yes, it brings confidence. For the people who have lost, does it really build confidence? I wasn't sure. People said sport builds teams and it builds sacrifice. It brings people to sacrifice. Then I saw that a lot of sports persons were ending up being super selfish. And when I reflected, I think when your sacrifice is good for the team's benefit, your ulterior motive of selfishness makes you make your team win. But if you're sacrificing yourself in a team makes the team better, will you sacrifice that slot? And I started to ask how many people would voluntarily retire out of sport? None, almost. People are hanging on to their places till they are kicked off. And that started to bother me. I think sports builds team spirit is started to question myself. Sports, of course, has a great value. But think of it. I used to go and play in my apartment when I was young. And for a lot of us, that kind of unstructured sport meant it was waste of time. And for me also, it was the same, always thinking that it is a waste of time. But actually, when you think of it, the greatest lessons we have learned, for many of us, just reflect of it, has been unstructured sport. Imagine we go down to the apartment, we join 4-5 kids to come, we persuade, we make them come, we design a sport as per local conditions, we learn by watching, we learn by imitating, we sit there, we compromise to make leaders, we follow leaders, we learn how to adapt to conditions. The biggest pressures are in the gully cricket matches where people taunt you, people are making you feel the pressure, and when you come out, that's great learning. We've actually lost out on this. It rains and then we have to find another place. Adaptability, flexibility, learning from different people, learning to work with different teams. I think we all learn a lot of this by unorganized sport, and we've lost it totally. It's time for us to start re-looking at all of these. So for me, when I look back today, sport and winning at all costs is something which we need to look at. And I remember Injeti Srinivas, when Injeti sir was the Secretary Sports and DG Sai, there was this meeting about how if India did not get medals, we should not pursue those. And when those statements came, the words which he said, in that sense, then there probably may not be a chance for us to win an Olympic medal in 100 meters or marathons. Because when you look at history, then all 100 meters, 200 meters have been won by people from a certain genetic makeup, which is Western Africa, whether they come from US or Canada or Jamaica, it comes through this. And then people from Eastern Africa have won marathons. So does it mean that India as a country should not run and do 100 meters and marathons? No. I think we need to look at sport differently. Self-excellence and every kid being the best of what he or she can be should be the benchmark. Physically moving ourselves to explore our boundaries should be our benchmark. And this is where the PE comes in. This is where parents comes in. It's supremely important that it's not the first 5 in class who should get an experience, good experience. It's everybody in class who should get a good experience. It's the parent should not say that when a parent sends his son to learn mathematics, he's not telling him that you should become a Ramanujam or a Shakuntala Devi or somebody. He doesn't send his son to be a physicist, to a physics class thinking he should be Edison or somebody. He just sends them to learn the subjects. In a similar sense, I think PE parents should send kids to sports and physical activity just to learn. In case they become a top athlete, it's fantastic, but not necessary that all of them become one. But each one should be the best of what we can be, he can be, is something which is supremely important. Childhood experiences and PE teachers pushing that experience, because even the armed forces, even the biggest, I've heard this, that the Marines also have problems with physical activity because discipline can't drive you too long. It's only love and good experiences which can drive you. So for me, it is supremely important that we start to think. And what I'm saying, I'm sure many of you know, and it's not something new, but it's just after spending 35 years in sport and having seen it the wrong way for many, many years, I just feel it's important to share it. And that's the only reason I'm doing so. For me today, a shift in the makeup from medals to beyond medals, a shift in our thinking to be inclusive and not exclude people, a shift in our thinking for being excellence and not looking at competitiveness and being one better than the other. To include everybody is what my simple, sincere thought is. I'm sure the PEs who are here have a huge role to play. Grassroots level coaches have a huge role to play, and the entire system should gear up to it. I, as a coach, am very grateful to the entire country for recognizing me. But the fact and the reality is that there are a huge number of coaches who work at the grassroots level. We need to recognize them. And in fact, in the last few years, if you've seen, our government has done phenomenally well. We have people like Injeti Srinivas who had worked. We have people like Sandeep Pradhan who are knowledgeable, who have worked on the field and who have actually driven this to the point where today, Khelo India, Fit India, recognition of grassroots and lifetime awards for Dronacharya, and our PM mentioning about recognition of grassroots level coaches is something huge. We've made great progress in the last few years, and I'm sure this journey will continue to be further better. We need education, we need municipal administration, we need Panchayati Raj, we need health, we need human resources, all coming together, because the value of sport is much beyond the sports persons who play and professionally or represent. I think it's for everybody to appreciate it. The success of our program would be when 30 years from now, every kid is active, because the PE teacher is ensured that he's respected their physical ability and challenged them and motivated them to do little better, and he's appreciated them to do much better. I think that is something which is very, very important. Sport today has huge value in my life, much before 2015 when I had this incident. Because back then, I thought it was about winning medals. Back then, I thought it was pride of the nation. Back then, I thought it is important for us as a nation to have the supremacy or to be competitive at the world level, to have a pride for the nation. But today, when I look at it, I see it all that is fine. But for each one of us, sport is more. And the people here, whether it's Kishore sir, Vimalji, I think government has done great. And I only say that we need to join more hands so that everybody who joins sport continues sport, and every parent who is not sending their kids to sport sends them to sport. And we need to figure out ways to motivate PE teachers, to motivate everyone to work, and award and reward them accordingly, so that as a nation, we are active. And in 30 years' time, the success of today's work would be when everybody loves physical activity. With these words, I would say thank you very much. And it's really been an honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It was wonderful, very meaningful, very inspiring session. Could we take some questions now, sir?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, Sujit, could you start? Then I'll take it next. Unmute, Sujit. Unmute yourself.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It was very inspiring, Gopichand sir. I think a lot of participants are they're very inspired by what you're talking about. Some questions that people are asking is that how do you get children to move out of video games to play actual sports? What kind of motivation that can be done?
I think today, as I said, I think we are facing a problem because we are dealing with entertainment being at their fingertips. So there's no easy answer for it. I think when you play a video game, you realize that every 2 minutes, there is a medal which is given. There is a level which you go up, and kids are appreciated. So I think one of the key components is to ensure that we as parents, as teachers, as society start to encourage them a lot more, to give them a lot more positive feedback, and to make it and make them show them that it is possible for us to be entertained by sport. And that would be important. It's very important that we have places we need to, as a country, start to look at ways in which people are finding it safe and secure to play. We need to invest in sport. I think there's no easy answer. I don't have all the answers, but I have this thing that what we are dealing with is a big issue. And every family has this issue. As parents, as teachers, we have this issue. It's so easy to switch on your YouTube or phone or gaming and keep sticking on for hours and hours. But to go out, is it safe? We have to make an effort to get people together, make an effort to find a place to work out, all of these. So I think we need to start investing. And the first step would be that all of us recognize that this is an area which needs to be solved, and we need to put our minds and resources together.
Right.
Another
One more.
question, Sujit, there's one question. Most of the PE teachers are asked to take up the job of taking discipline of the schools. And the parents are not keen that the children play. This one of the question arose, हम अपने बच्चों को खेलने नहीं भेजा, पढ़ाई के लिए भेजा है. So in such cases, what kind of a suggestion or what could be done to tell to the principal or the authorities, or to create an awareness so that we could start introducing physical activity? This question is comes.
I think when I reflect back, I feel in my own journey, I've had people who have supported me out and out. And these are people in very different fields. I've got teachers who supported me, extremes. One side would be super supportive, the other side would be totally against. I had principals in the same way. I see corporates in the same way. I see officers, bureaucracy in the same way, politicians in the same way. When I reflected back, my thinking, and correct me, I might be wrong, is that many of the people who don't support sport have been the people who've been left out of sport and who've had a bad experience in sport themselves. So they see sport does nothing for us. That's why you see extremes of people who go out and support sport because they've benefited. So it's very important for us that we start to make people enjoy sport and benefit from sport, because they will then see the value of people playing sport. Having said that, I think for me, for us to have programs of orientation for principals, for officials of government would be important, because today it's a known, scientifically proven fact that physical activity builds neurons. And if you're more physically active, you will be smarter in studies as well. It is proven. So it's only just a matter of getting the message across clearly, because sports and physical activity helps your kid to be smarter. And this needs the education department. So I keep going back and saying, I think sport is beyond sports department. It has health, education, human resource, all of these benefits for all of us. And we need to recognize and get all of us together, because we are talking about transformation of an entire population and health of an entire population. So for us to see the larger picture would be very important.
Thank you. Sujit, what is
Yeah, there are a couple of questions, both are actually linked. One question is that for the children who are in the 9 to 12, there's a lot of pressure on winning. And so they also tend to do unfair practices. So how do you stop that? And second question, which is also related, that when you are actually putting a structured program in place, how do you move to a process-based structure than an outcome-based structure?
I think as I've say to my kids, I think at 9 and 12, you don't know what's going to happen in the future. Because the reality is that kids develop at different stages. And two 11-year-old kids could be developmentally almost 4 to 5 years apart. So you can't judge kids when they're young. So it's very important that our models should ensure that the pyramid is not too steep and people are playing sport for a longer period of time. So larger numbers need to play sport for a longer period of time. And that would be very, very important. So our competition structure, especially at a young age, should be to ensure that more and more kids are playing sport. The almost 90% of junior champions don't make it to become senior champions. So I think what we are seeing is that it doesn't make great sense to be super competitive young. I think it's to be all-round improvement is what should be looked at a younger age. And winning at all cost is something I think even education today recognizes it. I think we need to start looking at it from that perspective, that sport and is the same. I think competition, no, excellence, development and process more than exams and goal is what we should start looking at.
There are quite a few questions for rural area schools and also government schools saying that the facilities are not there. So how can they put a good program, sports plan in place when the infrastructure or equipment is an issue?
I don't know, maybe Amit could tell me if I'm correct on those numbers, but to train an Olympic athlete per a year, it takes $10,000, something like that.
Doubled it, 10,000 USD per year.
10,000 USD per year. That's the kind of number you're talking about. So if in our country, we are thinking of producing and talking Olympic sport for all, I think it's not going to happen. The reality is that we need to move away from that model. That is there, that where certain segments, certain population can take care of it. But look at Indian sport typically. When we look at Indian sport, and I could digress a little bit, it is wrestling, kho-kho, kabaddi, hockey, Malkam, yoga. These are fundamentally Indian sports. And think of what it is. Indian sport typically less infrastructure, hands and sticks as equipment, and more people can play. This is what Indian sport typically is. This is what local sport is. So there's a huge value in promoting local sport and movement-based workouts. So I think we need to start looking at those things. So we need to be innovative and don't start looking at, I need an indoor stadium or I need a basketball court to start playing. I think the Western world thinking is that a 50-meter pool in our country is not affordable. I think we should start looking at those things. I think make kids physically active and love sport. And I'm saying simple things like you hide and seek, chor police, in the sense, these are sports which we all used to play growing up. One ball throwing up catches practice. Or you would do, say, Marampiti khel rahe, 7 stones khel rahe. I think girls, we used to play tennis-court. I think these are sports which don't need great amount of sport or infrastructure. We just need sticks and hands and as equipment. We can be innovative. We as departments also start to recognize and start doing competitions in such a way that which makes our country play. We cannot go by a Western model of making the country play. At $10,000 per kid, we are not going to go that route. We need to be innovative, dance, music, art, local culture, local sport. I think that's where the answers are. I don't have all the answers. I'm only just pointing to where the problems are. And I'm sure with your expertise, each one of you can actually contribute to share this problem, to solve the issues related to this problem.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Usha ma'am?
Yeah. Sir, thank you so much, sir. Vimal, sir, could for your remarks, please, sir. Vimal, sir. Sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gopichand. It was a very stimulating and enriching talk that you delivered, and being a participant and hearing it live was quite inspiring. In fact, you know what you said, every bit of it is so true. It's basically the childhood experience that actually shapes up an individual's motivation towards sports. And we all in some way or the other, we all have our own individual stories about how we grew up and why we chose sports or why we did not choose sports. So, and here, besides the role of the parents, which is so very important, the role of the PE teachers and the community coaches, it's extremely important. And they are the people who have to actually take upon themselves to motivate and guide our youngsters and create a kind of a sporting spirit in their minds. We all talk about changing the mindset, and what you spoke about, it's a lot to do about what the mindset we all have at this moment of time. Not only the people, not only the students, not only the parents, not only the teachers, but also the government and all the stakeholders. So there's a big need to change the mindset also. But at the same time, we can't keep on saying कि mindset badalna hoga, but we are not actually doing much towards it. So यहाँ पे here the role of the physical educators becomes very important because they are already trained and they have a lot of will. They are motivated, so they have to pass it on to the next generation. And there's a lot to desire also in the way the schools, our education system is teaching our physical educators and our coaches. You know, they somewhere the recognition is not there. Like we all have been, I've been participating in other tutorials also during this program, and there's a very overwhelming view that the physical educators in the schools, they are mostly being treated to discipline the students. So here it's not the fault of the teachers, but also the role of the schools, of the people who are running the schools or the education system which comes into play. And it would be people like you and what you spoke and similar words that may come from other inspiring figures, inspirational figures in our society, that may create a kind of a that may give encouragement to the schools and our PE teachers to to do better in terms of encouraging youngsters to participate in physical activities rather than just participate in competitive sports. So, and for that the government is also we are seized of the matter, and we also we have quite a few ideas which we are gradually putting into shape. And Khelo India Games, though it is still a lot to the only 4 or 5 games that have happened, but they are providing a kind of a platform to the youngsters to not only participate in sports but also towards a competitive spirit. And giving a platform at the national platform at that level is in itself quite motivating for the youngsters. We are also, as Amit would be knowing, we also are planning to introduce a kind of a sports education board in the country, which would be there's so far there's a lot of dropout, or there's a lot of confusion in the minds of the young sports persons or the budding sports persons, because they are not able to devote time, equal time or sufficient time either to sports or to education. So if they put more stress on education, they are not able to give sufficient time to sports, though they want to become a sports person. So in order to create this kind of to remove this kind of discouragement or discouraging factor from the minds of the budding sports persons, we are planning to introduce a special board for the students who want to pursue sports as a career. And there are many other steps that we are planning and we are taking in the sports ministry for so that we not only we strive for medals but also we participate in physical activities for our individual upliftment. If there's individual upliftment, there will be a upliftment of the major of the society as a whole. So we all the participants also, all the physical education teachers and all of us need to take lessons from what you have said and do something really concrete to implement that. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your opinion with all of us. And I'm happy that LNCP is taking this program in a very positive way, and it's a very successful program. From next month, we'll be starting second batch, and we after the completion of this batch, we'll be reflecting on, because this was the first endeavor on our part of such a scale, and we are such inspiring and experienced speakers have joined us in spreading the word. So we'll be reflecting on that, and we are hopeful that the second batch is going to be much more widespread, and it's going to more and more participants join us and create the spirit of sports in the country. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Dr. Kishore, sir?
Yeah. Thank you, Doctor. It's very, I would like to, first of all, place on record our sincere gratitude and appreciation to Mr. Pulila, respected Mr. Pulila Gopichand, for having spared his valuable time and to be with us despite his busy schedule, along with Mr. Dr. Amit Malik. In fact, we are yet to hear him. I think we'll have to have another session to hear from him. But what I could, apart from what has been told by respected Mr. Pulila Gopichand, what I would like to, to tell or to appeal to all the participants is that he himself is an institution. His life itself is a message. Like our father of nation Mahatma Gandhi has told, "My life is my message." So if you take the career of Mr. Pulila Gopichand, we can say that there is a message in his life. He has started. He was born in 1973, and into a ordinary family, or rather, and from there he rose every steps with lot of dedication, hard work, and a disciplined man. He had been initially groomed by Mr. Arif and then Mr. Ganguly Prasad. Maybe at the higher levels, he would have got some support from expert coaches too. But you see, he got the highest award, All England champion, at the age of 27. That is, in 2001, wherein he was the second one. Everyone knows that after Mr. Prakash Padukone, he was the second Indian to become the All England champion at the age of 27. See, there is something to be learned from this. In 27 years of age, to come to the pinnacles of performance is the something which is written in the sports training methodology, where you can achieve the peak performance. So it is a testimony that his training was very systematic, very progressive, committed and dedicated, so that at the age of 27 he could win the All England champion, and wherein his highest achievement that he got rated as the 5th world rank 5. So from world rank 5, but after having won that, he didn't sit himself, with rest, taking rest or totally involving into. He had a much more active life after that. That he switched on to stepped into the shoes of a trained coach as a promoter of badminton, and started his own academy with a whole lot of efforts. I could have some, I was there for some time where I could know how he was trying hard to establish his academy at Hyderabad. and all efforts which he has taken with taking everyone together. So that effort itself is worth mentioning, that he would have definitely had many challenges, but he withstood and he managed to establish one of the best academies in the world. And from there, in 2001, you see his journey after I coached in the year 2009, where he had another trainee sign an award in 2009. That means in 2001 to 9, in 8 years of time, he could make another world number 2 sign an award. He was only 5th, but in 9 years of time as a coach, he could get a world number 2 sign an award, who was one of the 24 international titles he won. And that doesn't stop there. After 2009, in another 6 years of time, 2015, China becomes the world number 1. So in a period of from 2001, in 14 years of time, where he was only 5th in the world, but he got a world number 1 in 14 years of time after his tenure as a player. This is something remarkable, extraordinary. I don't think there is anyone parallel have achieved this. And he has bestowed with, naturally, with all achievement what a sports person can get. Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri, Dronacharya, Khel Ratna, Arjuna Award. He got them, whatever award he has got, his trainee China also got. So he could make someone perform better than him in less than a period of 14 years. One, it doesn't stop there. Then next, remarkable, there were many others also. I will be too become lengthy if I explain all. Now see PV Sindhu. When we were so, we could imagine the mindset of every Indian who was watching 2016 Rio Olympics when we were having no medals with us. So the achievement which has secured by PV Sindhu in 2016 Rio Olympics, it is something which made every Indian proud. Otherwise, it was only because of that India could be, at least feel satisfied or have some consolence. So, and there in the year 2016, PV Sindhu won the silver medal, where China also did it. In 2012 Olympics, if she has won the bronze medal, in 4 years' time, he had another trainee to bring silver medal in the Olympics. So that is another extraordinary achievement, and there too, she was ranked number 2, PV Sindhu. So world number 1 and 2, and there too another a lot of other internationals who has along with him he could produce through his one academy, Gopichand Academy. Of course, he could manage to get support from everyone. That further adds further to his cap. That is something that I think each Indian, each youth, it is something to emulate. It is not only for community coaches and teachers, but every Indian youth, every Indian student, it is something to emulate, to learn that if you take on sports, this is where what we can achieve. Not only you can achieve, but also you can make the students, the trainees to achieve. His journey doesn't stop there. He's now also having realized about this. You see how he has spotted an incident where one of the trainee came and asked when he was involved in grassroots. He told that initially he was not much interested, nor he was having time to spare for the grassroots. But accidentally, when he had a grassroots level training, when one trainee came and asked him that how should I catch? So he shows that he could realize that attaining excellence is not the end, nor like what he has spotted. Told about out of 1,000 state medalists, one national medal come. Out of 100 national medalists, one international medalist come. So that is the way in which the pyramid works. But that is not the end. He has realized that sports doesn't confine merely to excellence. It is something he has realized that it should be a part of the curriculum. It is a part of education. That is what the Indian tradition and mythology also says, that Sharira Madhyam Kaludharma Sadhana. So having realized that, he has now endeavored into another venture of physical literacy, which is the need of the hour at this point of time for our country, when we have the highest youth population, highest student population, that's 300 million youngsters, and when our country is poised to become one of the largest population, and already it is one of the largest population, and when we are heading towards one of the largest economy, unless we find that we make every Indian sound, physically and mentally, it will be something which is impairing our nation building process and development. So having fully realized this, he is now putting on his effort to strengthen the grassroots level, the community coaching and physical education. I feel it is a great blessing that a person of his stature has ventured and joined this profession. And we feel highly benefited and privileged with his joining us in this forum today. And I'm sure that with his leadership, the physical education and community coaching section will get a fillip, because whatever he says is heard at the highest level. And I think already also whatever there is a role which you would have definitely played in the grassroots level coaching, community level coaching, and the sports at the grassroots getting this much of importance. I once again, on behalf of Sports Authority of India, MNCP, on behalf of the Ministry of Sports, and on behalf of this community coaching forum, which we are doing with the kind support of Ministry of Sports, and it is, I think I should place on record Mr. Vimal Anand also, for he is the one who had confidence on us and trusted us and given us this opportunity. Otherwise, never we were being heard much. We were doing a silent, calm work 33, 34 years. I think Mr. Gopichand had an occasion to come and meet us after he won, along with Mr. Sidhu and L.V. Subramaniam sir. They were here. We had an opportunity to give a reception to them, and Mr. Dr. Amit also keep coming once in a while. So we have some association, but we feel that you are venturing into this section would be of highest advantage, because your voice, you can definitely make definitely a pathway where every Indian, because more than that, every Indian, every youth will hear you, every student will hear you. If you don't hear you, at least they will hear PV Sindhu and Saina. You have got examples to teach them. So this team of yours will definitely inspire and motivate and make a radical, revolutionary change in the Indian system of community coaching, and I'm quite sure of. I once again thank you profusely on behalf of everybody and on my personal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kishore sir. We still have Dr. Amit Malik is going to speak, but I think Gopichand sir is in a hurry. Gopichand sir, thank you so much for this inspirational speech. And you have sown the seed of physical literacy. And as you said, 30 years, I think we can just wait 6 months to see it getting sprouted, and you can feel it coming up, because you yourself are a set example. So thank you so much for the transformation that you have brought in this particular program. On behalf of the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, Khelo India, and all those present here, thank you and a salute to you. It's a standing ovation to you, because you're so humble. I think all are saying we never knew Gopichand sirs like this. That's the comments that's coming in. So it's so nice. You are with our level, because at the level from excellence you have reached us, and that's how people hear you. So thank you so much for getting the pulse of our people, of our PE teachers and community coaches, and we wish that you do interact more often. I'm sure the whole nation would listen to you, as Kishore sir said. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Kishore sir. Thank you, Vimalji. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Sujit.
Much.
Thank you, everyone.
Vimal sir, I'd like to thank Kishore sir too. But we have Dr. Amit for his session.
So, ma'am, I was just thinking that today we had 1 hour planned and they had earlier session as well. So I find that we do it some other time, because they've already.
But I think you'll please speak, because since you're here, we'd like to listen to you at least for some.
Yeah, Amit, maybe you should speak for 10
Amit,
minutes.
you should speak to us. Yeah.
So, so in that case, I'll just use my small presentation to
Sure.
discuss. It is similar to what Gopi sir shared, that even our journey started in that direction, that in sports structure, we are losing more children than retaining them. And when I look at sports, I actually don't look from the system point of view or talk to children directly. Talk to them, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, what do they want? What are the experience they have in the PE class? And I found that there's a strong disconnect with what children want and what system gives. And that made us together to look at this concept of physical literacy. So quickly, I'll browse through what I had in mind, brief, catch. And many of the people because we also want to share that as an organization, ELMS, we only work with the public sector physical education. So we are dealing with a lot of state governments, a lot of teachers on the ground in physical education. So a lot of people have met us or had session with us in the government space. Quickly, so my presentation was that this is the way typically everybody look at in the system part to catch them young, make them champion, give them fighting spirit. These were the words which are used across the country. Identify talent, invest, best results. And I look at very differently. As Gopi sir said that, is it just doing peace sessions or to include all the children in physical activities or to ensure good experience and continuity for all children? So this is the third day upgrade. And we summarize to an extent that if P is good, these children should be active for life. If it has not happened, we should accept the failure that is something not going right with us. Because if a child learns any language, mathematics, science, they apply for their life. If they learn physical education, they should be able to use it for the life. So that was something which was bothering us. And we look at the government system, out of 100 children, 80 goes to school. Out of those 80 which go, hardly 30% get physical education. But in our country, which is so young, the number of active percent is not more than 10%. And that is really really hurts us hard. If we are doing so much investment in sports and P, the situation is that out of 100, only 10 will be active. And in our generation, we still has those experiences which Gopi sir talked about. But these children, we don't have any solution. Then we looked at the people, why they were not active. So we talked to a lot of people in the adult, people like you and me. What makes you not do physical activity? And the first issue came, there's no motivation. There's no daily motivation. Sometime I want to, sometime I don't want to. Second issue came the continuity. Every year end, I'll take pledge, New Year membership taken, not able to continue. And all of these learning are through experience. Rather than research, this is from, I would have talked to hundreds of people, why they are not active. And all of you can validate this research, our own understanding at your family level. You talk to your wife, talk to your husband, talk to your children, your relative, friends. You'll find these 4 issues. Daily, they're not motivated. They're not continuing on daily basis. They don't have understanding totally. And the lifestyle is an issue. And we look at the PE as well. We look at government, private school PE teachers, PE system, what is happening. Huge focus on the drills and activities, huge focus. A lot of drills, activities being taught through various program, educational routes. They're not focused on sports teams. Make sports team for school level, intra-house, inter-house. So team was strong focus. Fitness assessment, again, very good focus. People are doing good, and the talent identification. But the issue is that, bigger issue is that drills don't make somebody active for life. Drills don't, issue is motivation there. You check in your family, issue will be your spouse, your family not being active, will be motivation to do it on a daily basis. What we are offering to children? Drills. Drills can activate few people. Sports team, those who selected happy, 90% not selected, I'll not come to sports again. Fitness assessment, those who are good in that, happy, rest is not good for us. Fitness assessment, not consider the growth, development, maturity cycle. It is almost impossible to do fitness assessment. I can share from my experience on the ground. It's almost impossible. Somebody is chronological 8, biologically 9. And you are comparing 9 to 9 and telling that I'm not good as other's child. Big issue with the children. And I'm talking about when the children I spoke to. Talent identification, those who are talented feel good, not feel good. So this whole PE system, we found that is not motivating more than 10-20% people who are good in fitness, good in the sports team as well. We looked at sports model. This is the way we got, say, Abhinav Bindra as India's only Olympic gold medalist. But if I give a camera to each of the PE teacher and they take picture of all the children who come for any district level tournament, this picture is this. Maximum children go home crying or not sure whether they will be allowed to play again by their parents or teacher or not. Because structure is like that. If we are talking about shooting one Olympic gold medal when Abhinav won it, at the same time, maybe at least 1,000 of children would have picked up the rifle shooting. Out of them, maybe 100 would be happy. Out of 1 lakh, 100 are happy, 99,900 are unhappy people we are creating. So we call this model is our classical model of talent rejection. This is not a talent selection. At district level, we chunk out millions of children, you go out. State level is 1,000. So if the picture is made of an Indian movement of Olympic, there will be 2 happy faces and millions of unhappy faces. And the structure is so dangerous even today because 10 years back, there will be 100 entries for district level tournament, 3 winners. 5 years back, 500 entries, still 3 winners. After 5 years, there will be 5,000 entries, still 3 winners. So as the system grows, people win still 3 medals, but the people who get rejection increase. So we are promoting talent rejection in a massive way in each of the family. Families are saying that it is not good for us. And you knock any neighbors who ask, do you want to put your child on sport? Answer will be, there is no career. So this is the way we consume the sport. And this we also look at from the academy's point of view. And then we looked at this model is actually quite small. We're talking about few thousand national camper, few Khelo India athletes. My population is huge. I'm talking about millions of children. And that was quite, we were feeling bad about it, that in the need of promoting sport, we are actually giving more negative experience to sports. We looked at education, sit continuously, sedentary by design. Health was there an issue. And we were confused actually. We were confused that if you want to promote sports, our team, Gopi sir, that what is our answer? I'm asking all of you as well. What is our answer as a physical education expert to our 300 million children that we want them to be active? And we could not find a solution. Sometime good, motivate 10-20%, sports, good rejection model. Education say you stay at home, sit, health-wise nobody. First we change our understanding differently, that can we have this kind of model that every child a very good experience of physical activity in childhood. Those who want to pursue sport, that 5% are allowed support by the government or the other organization to pursue, but rest 99% become health of my nation. A nation where there are no hospital, a nation where there's no unhappiness, a society where everyone is actively and happily playing, not through discipline, playing by enjoyment. So that was the model which we thought of, and our model was simple: is active toddler become active adult, successful PE, it's not successful. There's no other way to look at it. And across this definition of physical literacy.
It's about first steps and active play. It's about being active with friends and family. It's about recreation and being outdoors. It's about learning and practice. It's about education, making progress, and a greater understanding. It's about fitness, challenge, competition, and the success it could lead to. It's about expression performance, imagination, and culture. It's about enjoyment. Every day and for life. This is physical literacy. The motivation, confidence, physical competence, knowledge and understanding to value and take responsibility for engagement in physical activities for life.
So we reach out to this association, International Physical Literacy Association. And this is the definition of physical literacy. It is an internal motivation. First of all, it is an attitude. Physical literacy is a disposition, attitude in an individual who has the motivation, who has the confidence, who has physical competence, knowledge and understanding to value and take responsibility for engagement in physical activities for life. So this is just not fundamental movement. It is not motor skills. It is that how a physical education class create that experience which a child is motivated to get more and more throughout life. How a physical education can give that confidence in each child, which helps him or her to do more and more every day. So this is the definition which we adopted. And the cycle which we looked at, that a child or every individual in the country need to have these 4 wheels in their car so that this keeps on moving. If I only have competence but no motivation, I'll not do. If I don't have confidence, again, I'll not be able to do. So these are the 4 components of the physical literacy definition. I'm not doing this activity, but when you ask the children, we ask the children, and that's how this definition seems so valid. You know that children responded like this. I like playing badminton because not of the drills or the fundamental motor skill which we are bothered about, because I like making friends while playing. I enjoy dancing because it boosts my confidence. Some people said I go for a run in my class because it is good for my health, knowledge part. I enjoy my Kathak class because my first experience was amazing. I go to gym because my favorite thing. So what we were missing in the whole journey was we are not able to find that we have a connect with physical activity. That connect could be expression for a dance person, could be enjoyment for somebody else. And there's one more option which I can tell. Children say, I love free play time. I don't want PE teacher to get involved. I love free play time as well. So when we saw this is what children are wanting and they are experiencing, but we are not able to see their story of this. We're just seeing our story of the side from the science point of view. Their story, these are the simple connection which they have. You can connect. Now my test to you is, you talk to the child in your family and ask, आपका favorite activity कौन सा है? आप ये क्यों करते हो? And I can assure this will connect to one of those factors which I shared with you. And that the word which Gopi sir and we start proposing that in physical education we need to erase, I would say, remove the word talent identification and change it by the word talent mapping. Whereas a teacher, I could see one child in my class could be a champion. Second could also be fit for life because he is very good in academics, will go do a job and fit for life. This third girl which can just enjoy dance for the lifelong. And there's somebody who can do yoga as well. So the sheet of the fitness assessment, 5 people, fittest people, has to be replaced by all 30 children there and writing their interest against it. These 5 children are very good in kabaddi. These 5 girls like dancing. These 3 are very good in local sports. When I, as a PE teacher, I start mapping all the children, no child has to be left out from any sheet which we give. Then we really get inclusive. And this is what we are sharing from the children's behavior point of view. So that's the, and the model is proposed physical literacy is that there are not just sport, there are 6 kind of movement forms. And the concept is from, when you say the life exists when a child is able to move inside mother's womb to the time we are alive. That whose journey is physical literacy. The millions of meaningful experience which we get to a bodily interaction with every environment That became this beautiful concept of physical literacy. So they use the word movement form. A teacher can engage children in adventure movement form, treasure hunt, rope walking, swimming in port, local thing which Gopi sir shared. Aesthetic and expressive movement form, dance, local culture, new rules. Athletic because of walking, running, jumping, throwing as part of the lifestyle. Health everybody knows. And last part which is not respected much is the interactive part. Our boat races in Kerala, Tiger dance of Karnataka, Bhangdas of Punjab. So after having worked with various state government, probably we feel that we need to remove the science from the PE, bring more culture to it. An activity which used Dandiya stick in Gujarat in physical education will survive in next 100 years because Dandiya sticks are available in every household. And that is something as a community I can connect to. I teach in PE class, it goes to home and goes to community as well. And from the children point of view, these three things which children have asking all of us. Some teacher mentioned that we need to be creative. Three things which children ask is that include me. I'm not good enough today. I'm still growing. I'm not enjoying today's class. Still include me. If you are able to answer to all the children, we have a solution. We are growing at different pace. What liked by me, not liked by other person. How you give me variety so that PE is more interesting than a video game. There's a possibility. And third, end of the day, if it is happy experience, even success is not sustainable. I work with the elite athletes. Their happiness could be momentarily when the success happen. What is sustainable is a happiness with the physical activity. So these were the few things. And on that note, I think I will conclude my session. Overview of what physical literacy is. It is beyond movement. It is beyond motor. It is about bringing up a holistic child and individual who has all of these four components: motivation, confidence, competence, knowledge, and understanding, to value and engagement for life. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Amit Malik. It was indeed, you took us a journey from, you said, from the womb. We all experienced that. I think the physical literacy part, which is so important. And I'm sure with the words of Gopichand sir and the way you popularized, definitely is going to come in. So thank you so much for this informative session. But I'm sorry, since we could not give you time, but I see that the next
no worries, ma'am.
We see, but everybody could get a glimpse of it, and everybody I think is started experiencing it, the fun and the joy that you could give in. So on behalf of the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, thank you so much, Amit Malik.
Thank you, ma'am,
for your valuable and informative session. But even a short span, you could put across things into all the PE teachers, because they are going to carry message, and I think it's going to really do wonders. So once again, thank you so much. I'd like to thank Vimal sir. Thank you so much for the trust that you have in us, the support that you've been giving us, and your smile is always something which helps. There's an aura around here. I think that's charging us. So thank you so much for this charge, and do keep charging us every now and then too. And please do come in sometime, because the session is getting over this week. I mean Monday. Thank you so much, sir, for all the support. I'd like to thank Dr. Kishore sir, who's been so supportive. Thank you so much, sir, for supporting us. And I'm sure because Gopichand sir, he's still there. We find he's still here. We can hear him. And I think there's so much, all are impressed. So in his absence, I'd like to thank Gopichand sir. I'd like to thank all the, Sujit, I'd like to really thank you so much for your being a co-host here. I'd like to thank all the participants, because almost 2.5 hours we've been sitting here. Thank you so much, participants, because I'm sure you were here because you felt it's like a movie. It was a narration. We didn't feel like quitting. It was continuing. So thank you so much to each one of you. Evening, we have a very good session, because it's a big issue with regard to safeguarding. What is child right? What are the policies? IOC has come out with certain rules which Rosa would be discussing about. It's a very important issue, especially in the present era, how to handle students and children. What are the ethical issues which comes in? What are the issues? So I request each of the participants to kindly attend this particular session of safeguarding. And also we have a session tomorrow. Once again, thank you one and all. Thank you so much. And a namaste.
Thank you so much, Amit. Thank you so much. Very wonderful session, Amit. I think all the right points that you talked about.
Thank you. So, Amit, it was wonderful. We'll make it
Thank
the curriculum. It's great. Good job. Thank you, Sujit. Thank you,
Thank you so
Kishore
much,
sir.
ma'am.
And I'd like to thank all the participants. They're still there. Thank you
And
so
you
much.
bring in so much energy. I think everyone stays. Yes.
I'm going to have a bhangra.
Ma'am, all of us have become Usha fans.
Don't tell. Evening we are going to have. I have got a group. I'm trying out challenge. Cha cha cha. We're trying that. So
Yeah,
anyway,
but
okay,
let us-
bye.
Yeah, bye. Thank you so much, Kishore sir.
Thank
See
you,
then.
Kishore sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, participants.